Hi, my name is Shelby Schulte, and I interviewed LH. She is a 24-year-old female who has type 1 diabetes. I did an online interview with her via email, so I've got, you can't see it, but there's a Word document on this. I don't know why it's completely white, but so I'm going to read from that about our interview. So the first question I asked her was, what is your biosensor used for? And she said, my biosensor is an insulin pump. An insulin pump is used to deliver a consistent dose of insulin at all times. So I then asked her to tell me about her condition. She has type 1. She responded, I have type 1 diabetes. She was diagnosed when she was 7 years old. And so basically, her body doesn't make her own insulin, so she has to manually give her body insulin in order to control her blood glucose. Um, so I asked her how old she was whenever she got her insulin pump, and she did not get an insulin pump until she was 10 years old. So before that, for 3 years, she gave herself insulin injections. Um, I asked her what made her pick this specific insulin pump. Um, so she told me that the insulin pump that she has right now was the best one on the market whenever she got it at the time. Um, she currently has a Minimed insulin pump. Her first insulin pump was an Animos pump, and it had a lot of defects in it where it would stop giving her insulin throughout the night. Um, so obviously that would make her have an extremely high blood glucose when she woke up, and that's very hard to control. So, needless to say, she got a new insulin pump and got the Minimed. Um, so that's the one that she uses now. I asked her what made her pick an insulin pump over using injections. And she responded that with an insulin pump, you can have more control over your diabetes um, because you can adjust how much insulin you get during the day and at different time intervals. Um, so, for example, if she was to work out, she could adjust that uh, insulin amount, or for like holidays where you're having lots of sweets and stuff like that, she would also be able to adjust it on her insulin pump to better control. She also said that having a pump gives her a lot more flexibility because she can actually adjust the amount of insulin on an hourly basis rather than having a large dose of a long acting insulin injection during the evening and bolusing for meals and corrections during the day. It just gets very time consuming having to monitor that by just giving herself injections, and so using the pump is actually a lot more convenient for her. Um, I asked her how long she has used this insulin pump an insulin pump, and she has used it since she was 10, so diagnosed at 7 and got the insulin pump at 10 years old. I asked her if she has any concerns about this particular insulin pump, and she said that she's currently in a battle with her with her insurance company to get a new insulin pump and a more newer one on the market. And her current insulin pump is currently out of warranty. So she described that this means that if it malfunctions or quits working entirely, she would have to scramble around immediately and find her physician to quickly get her injections before she could ever get a new insulin pump. Her insurance doesn't want to pay for a new insulin pump until her current one completely quits working entirely. This concerns her because if her insulin pump that she has now quits working, she'll be forced to go back to giving herself injections. And she hasn't done that since she was 10 years old. So that was 14 years ago for her. Um, my next question I asked her is if she's ever switched insulin pumps due to lack of quality. And yes, she did. She answered this in the fourth question where she described that her first one that she got would quit giving her the like continual bolus of insulin throughout the evening and nighttime while she was sleeping. So she had to get the new Minimed one that she has now. I also asked her what are the negative perceptions of having an insulin pump on her everyday quality of life. And she basically described this as she is tied to a small pager-sized piece of equipment for 24 hours a day. And to her, this can be cumbersome and annoying at times. And she has to make sure that she always buys pants that have pockets big enough to fit the insulin pump in. So that would affect her quality of life as well, as far as just being able to find clothing that would conceal it adequately. I asked her if there's any positives about having an insulin pump, and she said that there's actually many positives to having one, but the two most biggest positives that she described was that she has more freedom. More freedom because she doesn't have to carry around two different insulin pens and a bag with her everywhere she goes that has the insulin in it. And the other is that she can customize how much insulin she gets throughout the day, depending on the activity she's doing or food she's eating. So it's just a little bit more personalized. I also asked her if her insulin pump connects to a smartphone. She said that hers does not, but currently there are pumps out on the market right now that have the capability to connect to your smartphone so that you could track the amount of insulin you're getting on there and you could like show your progress. So I asked her if she can personally track her progress through her insulin pump, and since her pump doesn't have the capability to a doesn't have the capability to connect to her smartphone, then no, she can't. But it does show how much insulin she gets throughout the day and how many times she has corrected for a high blood sugar. I asked her if her pump is waterproof. She said that no, but there is some out on the market right now that are waterproof. I also asked if it tracks her calories. She said no, it does not, and she isn't really sure if there is ones on the market that would do that or not. I asked her how much this particular insulin pump cost, and she said that it cost around $7,000. So that is quite a lot of money, if you can imagine. Although they are supposed to last for quite a long time. I asked her if it's cheaper to have insulin injections or to have an insulin pump, and she said that injections are definitely cheaper. However, insurance does pay for a big chunk of having an insulin pump, but getting the infusion sets for each pump are very expensive, and you do have to switch those out every now and then. I did ask her if insurance covered the insulin pump, and so yes, they do cover a lot of it, but not all of it, so it is still very expensive. She said the insurance covered about half of hers, and so therefore she would still have to pay $3,500 just to have something that would sustain her life, basically. My last question I asked her is how many insulin pumps she's had in her lifetime. So she said that she tries to get a new model every 8 years or so just because of new technology that comes out and just rapidly changing uh, qualities that the insulin pumps can have. But each new model that she has gotten is practically the same insulin pump for Minimed. Um, so that concluded my interview with LH. A total of 18 questions. As I said, I did it over my phone, so that's what I was reading off of at times. And that's it. Thank you.